A mother, a daughter, a beloved teacher. Shelley Mook was just 24 when she went missing, and now, nearly a decade later, loved ones are still asking, where's Shelley? Strangely, her ex-husband Tyler Mook has been serving a 12-year sentence behind bars for attempted second-degree murder involving a different woman down in Florida. One thing he did leave behind before heading south, a pocket dial to 911. February 28, 2011 was the last day anyone heard from Shelley Mook. Nearly 10 years later, her best friend Brittany Brooks recalls how Shelley's relationship with Tyler started. The two got married in 2004 after their senior year of high school.
They had a wedding in Hawaii, kind of the picture perfect situation. It was beautiful. She was already pregnant at the time. So I think her idea and her thought was, the next step is marriage because this is what people do and this is what is right.
Brooks said things took a turn over the next several years.
They did get divorced in 2009, which she probably would have done it a lot sooner, but she was trying to better herself by going to school and making sure that she became a teacher to have a future for her and her daughter.
While married, Shelley started teaching in Bedford County schools. A couple years later, she moved to Murfreesboro. Brooks said she went to take their daughter to Tyler's house in Shelbyville before needing to meet a maintenance man at her apartment. But she never showed up.
Her car was found the next morning burning in Rutherford County. Now, mind you, where she went missing from would have been Bedford County. When they found her car, they tried to contact her and figure out exactly what happened.
Shelley's family hired their own investigator to help with the case.
It was pulled down a driveway and into a field, and it appeared to be doused with gasoline and set on fire. No remains were in the vehicle, and Shelley has not been found to date.
It's absolutely surreal. I mean, you never really move on from a situation like this. You just learn how to cope with it.
After her disappearance, Tyler moved to Florida in 2012, but Keel says not before a strange pocket dial was made to 911.
And they know that I'm not going anywhere right now because I don't have room. They can't prove nothing. Like I told Mom, they know I'm going to stay in the United States. They can find me.
The Franklin County Communications Center tells News 2 they traced the call back to Tyler's phone after tracing a number and a ping that came from where the call was made. Keel says Tyler called 911 back several minutes later.
What's your name?
This is Tyler Mook.
Okay.
Did you get a call from this number here a couple minutes ago?
Yes, we had an open line from it.
What happens on that open line? Does it get recorded and stuff like that?
Hang on just a second, sir.
A lot of the call was drowned out by the machine noise. So there's a lot that's inaudible in that. What I found particularly interesting was Tyler calling 911 center back, explaining that it was an accidental dial and say, hey, was that call recorded?
Tyler is now serving a 12-year sentence for attempting to drown his girlfriend in Florida. But Shelley's daughter and loved ones are still left without answers.
We all want closure, but ultimately, at this point, 10 years later, this beautiful girl is growing up without her mother, and she deserves answers as to what happened. Her mother's life was already ruined. It is not fair to have this being held over her for the rest of her life.
And Keel hopes one day they'll get that closure.
I think there are people out there that know what happened to Shelley and know where Shelley is right now. And I believe they either haven't come forward so far out of fear or out of a misguided sense of guilty. I would implore them to come forward, give the family closure.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has taken over this case. They tell me Tyler is still a person of interest, but they had no other details they could share at this time. If you have any information on what might have happened to Shelley, you're asked to call the TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND. I'm Nikki McGee, News 2.